Hello, my name is Hunter, the movie reviewing pony, because when it comes to cinema, humans cannot be trusted. And welcome to yet another rendition of the aptly named Good or Bad, the review where I take the latest movies to hit the box office and critique them. Let's talk about Lord of the Rings. This frickin' series, grossed $2.9 billion at the box office. And if that's not impressive enough, they made even more money off of the DVD sales. Not to mention countless video games, the book series that it was based off of, a ridiculous product line. They made a frickin' mint off of this. Not to mention, Return of the King won 11 Academy Awards. Plus 4 Golden Globes, 5 BAFTAs, 2 MTV Movie Awards, 2 Grammy Awards, 9 Saturn Awards, the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Picture, and the Nebula Award for Best Script. And I didn't even name all of them! And, fortunately, these movies have gotten praise for all the right reasons. Oh yeah, you guessed it, I love me some Lord of the Rings. These movies have great characters, they have great effects, they have a great story behind them. These are great films. I even went out and bought all 3 of the special extended DVDs, which is something I never do. And then, back in 2012, they went the direction of the prequel. And it has the same writers and director as The Lord of the Rings. What more could we have asked for? So, Unexpected Journey came along, and we loved it. Then came Desolation of Smaug. We loved that one too. And so, the scope was set. The last Hobbit movie. And we here at Headhunter Productions got the privilege of seeing this one early. Hunter Reviews is finally getting the respect it deserves. Well, I've been saying in my past reviews that I've completely expected this movie to blow us away, so... The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. Good or bad? I've been waiting for this one since the Desolation of Smaug's stupid cliffhanger ending. But I was able to forgive Desolation of Smaug because I knew that this was going to be a trilogy. This was also already lined up to be one of the biggest films of the year. Not to mention it was probably going to be another Oscar grabber. The timing for trailers with this was also pretty damn perfect. Honestly, this film went through a pretty damn good advertising campaign. It didn't really need a good advertising campaign either because I knew I was going to see it anyway. In fact, pretty much every Lord of the Rings fan was going to see this movie. No matter what, this movie was going to make a profit. The thing about Peter Jackson is he's very good at making money. Just slap his name on a movie and people are bound to see it. It's sort of like James Cameron, only he's not as successful as James Cameron. Honestly, I can't find anything to complain about with this movie prior to its release, aside from the Desolation of Smaug's crappy lead-in. And even then, we knew there was going to be a third movie, so I can't really complain about that. This is probably the quickest it's come down to this question, but good or bad? Unfathomably amazing! Peter Jackson doesn't disappoint, and this was absolutely no exception. The story is great, the characters are great, the effects are great, the scenery is beautiful. Honestly, there's not a lot to hate. One thing of note that I really liked with this movie is that most of these characters have the perfect level of expendable and invulnerable. And this is the movie where all of that comes into play. There are characters who die that you won't expect to die. I'm not gonna say who, but there will be death. Some of the deaths seem a bit unnecessary, but they're following a book series, so I can't really complain. And I have to say, New Zealand's looking pretty nice this time of year. The scenery is absolutely astounding looking in this film. They spare absolutely no expense making sure they get every shot perfect with this film. The special effects department didn't cut any corners either. Imagine what we got out of Lord of the Rings and just make it look even better. They're perfect. Absolutely perfect. You'll get no complaints from me on that front. Another thing I liked in this film was the villain. Cause he's evil. He's really freaking evil. Now I know I've said that I don't like it when a villain is overpowered, but this is a situation where it's supposed to feel like a lost cause to fight against the dude. So honestly, to make him underpowered wouldn't be a very good idea. So it's a good thing that he's overpowered. And as I stated, the characters are great in this movie. Not only do they have that perfect blend of expendable and invulnerable going on, but all of their personality and charms make them all unique. What this movie does well, it does to near perfection, and it's absolutely fantastic. However, now we've arrived at the point of the review where I get to point out all of the flaws with the movie which drag it down. And no, I'm not gonna bitch about how hobbits never wear frickin' shoes. Don't even bother typing something in the comments, because I know there's a reason for it. It's always gonna bug me. For starters, and this might just be me, but did anyone else expect a somewhat larger scale of things with this movie? I mean, compared to the scale of things in Lord of the Rings, this just seems a bit smaller. Don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but somehow it just seems like everything could have been done on a much larger scale. Also, this next bit is a minor spoiler, so mute now. Smaug was killed even before the opening title came up. I get that it was part of the series that he was supposed to attack the town, but it just seems like they could have made him a bit more of a threat. He had all of this build-up in the last movie, and then there was the year-long gap between that and this. I don't know, I just feel it could have been handled a little better. One major problem I have with this movie is that it didn't really give a lot of closure. It capped off the Hobbit series quite nicely, but the ending sort of felt a little empty. Now I know this is all supposed to lead up into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which it does quite nicely, but this is the end of a trilogy and there should have been a little bit more closure with it. There's also a few characters in this movie that are purely used for comedic effect, but they're also completely useless and not even that funny, so the comedic effect isn't even done that well. Most of you who have seen the movie probably know which character I'm talking about and probably completely agree with me that he's completely useless. Yeah, that guy. I don't like that guy. He's useless and he's not funny, so he's not even used for comedic effect. Speaking of comedic effect, there are some pretty decent things in this movie that are used for comedic effect. And when they're done right, they're funny. When they're done wrong, it ruins the moment. There are very few points where the moment is actually ruined in this movie by a horrible comedic effect, but there are a few moments where it is. And one final bit, this movie gets really weird at one point. Those of you who have seen the movie know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, you'll know it when you see it. It doesn't make any sense, and it takes out all of the flow with the movie. It's just sort of out there, and it's weird. But as a whole, this film stands high. I mean really high. I mean movie of the year high. So what's my score for this movie? 9.5. We have yet another candidate for movie of the year here. And this has a pretty high chance of winning my film of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if this grabbed an Oscar or 10 Oscars. If you enjoyed the last two movies or you're a Lord of the Rings fan, or both, you'll enjoy this. My advice is that you check this movie out. I fully expected this film to blow us away, and it did. And before I go, I'd like to thank every pony for supporting Hunter Reviews this year. It's been a fantastic journey, and we're looking forward to 2015. My name is Hunter, and this has been a Hunter Review.